we went ahead and switched themes to Orbit Drift. We were on Hypergrid before. I'm gonna go ahead and test this one out. It has a very futuristic look for sure. And the orange kind of matches the theme of my car, the wrap and the stripe on the steering wheel. So this one's a little bit laggier than Hypergrid. Keep in mind, guys, this is a pre-production unit, a prototype that I have in order for me to make video content for you guys. I wanted to rush this video out so you guys can get an idea of how awesome this upgrade can be for your E46. We are taking pre-orders now at vehiclevirals.com, a very limited amount. If you guys don't take advantage of it, you know, fast enough, you're gonna have to wait for the second batch, which is gonna be a few months from now. By the time that this unit comes out in its final form, all the bugs are gonna be ironed out. It's gonna be just as smooth as the ones that I sell for the E-chassis BMWs. Very cool though. And yes, that weird unknown green arrow does work. Test something out real quick. Let's see. Yeah, it's a tad bit laggy. I'm sure it's something that's going to be addressed by the time these clusters officially come out. And for all you purists that are having a hard time switching from analog to digital, well, check it out. You can feel right at home. Analog style, but just a digital glory form with all the extra features. For those of you guys that are wondering, this is my 2002 E46 M3. I purchased it like 2 years ago for $3,000. And I know nobody's gonna believe me, but that's exactly how much I paid. Clean title and running, only had a bad SMG transmission, which we eventually converted to a 6-speed manual. Got a custom steering wheel here from Mazda Auto Wheel, and the digital cluster is just the cherry on top. I won't go into too much detail about my E46 M3 in this video since we're gonna be focusing on the digital cluster, but if you guys wanna see a video on a build breakdown, I'd be happy to make that for you guys. Let me know in the comments. The goal for today's video is to obviously show you guys a fully functioning digital cluster for the E46. In the original video, it kind of showed you guys a brief overview, but it wasn't connected to the car, it was externally powered. So I'm going to show you all the features. Today we'll show you the features, the themes, the skins, what you get if you pre-order a basic edition, standard edition, and premium edition, which kind of leads me to, we are taking pre-orders for the E46 digital cluster on my website, vehiclevirals.com. They are very limited, guys. We have a very limited allotment for the very first batch, so I highly recommend you guys take advantage, because if you have to wait for the second batch, it's going to be several months. So make sure and take advantage. I'll have a link to the E46 digital cluster down in the description below. Okay, so here's the startup animation. Mine says Vehicle Virals, but once you pre-order or purchase one later on down the year, you can always customize it. So of course my particular cluster is the premium one, so let me show you guys what you get. Pretty much fully decked out. Let's show you guys some of the themes here. So you have Matrix out and Hypergrid. Those are pretty much two themes included with the premium, along with all the different colored skins. So Matrix is more of an analog type feel. Depending on what the theme of your car is, you know, you have one that pretty much suits everybody. Let me go ahead and run through them real quick. Very big fan of this one right here. This one is Jade Glare, and they have Jade Shade. And my guess between these two is that one is for daytime and one is for nighttime. Keep going down here. You can see some more here. Like pretty much every single color. Orange is good for me because, you know, it matches the theme of my E46 M3. Imola Glare, and then you got Imola Shade. Cobalt Glare is also very, very cool. So this is pretty much for you guys that are having a hard time switching over to a fully digital screen but still want the analog feel but with extra features. this is an option for you guys. Huge fan of this Regal Glare color, and of course you have the shade version right here. So real quick before we move on to the next theme, Hypergrid, just know that if you buy the basic edition for the cluster, you will get Alpine Glare, which is this one right here. You'll get Alpine Shade, and you'll get Inca Glare and Inca Shade, which honestly is a pretty badass color. Can't go wrong with orange and yellow. A few things I wanted to point out before moving on to the next theme. Notice how I have this USB port here. I did route it from the back of the cluster area down to the bottom where the kick panel is at. Essentially, I'm going to have this available here because anytime there's any updates for the cluster to fix some of the bugs, or you know, if you wanted to purchase a different skin for your cluster, this is how you would do it. You would use a USB stick, you would download the file onto it, and you would plug it in once the cluster starts up, and it starts installing the update immediately. On this side, I kind of routed this real quick just for the video purpose, is the remote. It's very, very thin, kind of fits anywhere. It does have a little backing you remove here, so you can stick on to anywhere you want on the car. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put mine yet, but I kind of have that just chilling right here. That's why I don't have the trim pieces here on the dashboard. Essentially, I did something quick just to get this video out to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and start up the car so you guys get to see the animation for this Matrix theme. A very common question that I get is the RPM here. You can actually adjust this specifically to your car. So for the E46 M3, red line is 8100, 9000 RPM is the max side. Obviously for a non-M model, you can adjust that to be lower. The same goes for the speedometer. The E46 M3 does not have a 200 mile per hour top speed. I went ahead and just kind of threw that in there just to be a little bit funny, but you can adjust that, and I'll show you guys later on how to do that. So if you look at the 3 different gauges here, those are also customizable. You can essentially put whatever kind of information you want there. I have the fuel level, the second one in the middle is the oil engine temperature, and then the one on the right is the coolant temperature. In the middle is the G-force meter, which you only get with the standard and premium cluster edition, which is very, very cool, and it's not something you can typically see in a stock E46 cluster. The M logo that you see here, you can also remove or add on depending on your car. Super common question I get is the odometer. Does that transfer over to the digital cluster, your mileage? Yes, it does. It reads it, and then you just have to go to the menus and confirm it, and that's it. So it will transfer over from the DME. Let's go ahead and rev it. So 2 things to keep in mind before you guys go into the comment section and start like trying to rip me apart. I am filming at 30 frames per second. The cluster moves at around 60 frames per second, so you're going to see a little bit of edginess there. So remember guys, this is a prototype, and I just really want to show you guys some of the capabilities of this cluster. It'll get better within the next month and a half. So one thing I want you guys to focus on is the little E46 car here. It does react to what you do with your car. So if I open the door, notice how it shows the driver door open, close it, and there you go, it's closed. Also notice when I turn on the headlights, the cluster actually dims up just a bit, and the headlights on the E46 and the taillights turn on. Very cool. And then if I turn off the headlights, the theme adjusts accordingly, and as you guys can see, the lights on the car have dimmed down. Okay, so moving on to the next theme that's only included on the standard cluster and the premium one. The standard only has 4 of the variations, and then the premium has all of them. Let's go ahead and look through them. So Oxide Lux and Oxide Nox, those 2 are included with the standard edition. Those 2. And let's go ahead and cycle through the rest. Sonic. This theme is probably my favorite, to be honest. It's very, very modern. Kind of puts the car up against those, you know, newer BMWs with digital displays. It looks so good, and you get so much information. You got Solar Lux here, Solar Nox, Pyro. This is definitely the one that I'll be rocking all the time because it just matches the car. Of course, the outside of it, and you got the orange stripe right here. Pyro Nox. I do like the Pyro Lux actually. Yeah, that was very nice. This one is very cool. Rosso Lux and Rosso Nox.
If I had anything red in my car, I would definitely rock this one. It looks so clean. By the way, you also get this one with the standard edition digital cluster. So you get the oxide variants and you get the Rosso variants. All this information, by the way, is on my website on the product page. If you go down to the description of the E46 cluster, I have links to what every edition includes and a breakdown chart. So if I don't cover it here, guys, all that information is available on the website. Royal Lux and Royal Knox, very nice. That purple is so baller. Huge fan. So pretty much all the skins that you've seen so far are included with the premium cluster. As far as the standard, you get 4 from Hypergrid and 4 from Matrix out. Let's go ahead and give this skin a rev test. I like this theme a lot. It's very responsive and it's very fluid. Plus you have the digital versions of the information I showed you earlier from the Matrix. So you have coolant, 176 Fahrenheit, oil temperature, and on the left, fuel level and percentage. A very modern look. G-force meter there in the middle, and then the car on the left. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the last theme, which is an additional add-on for all 3 cluster options, meaning it doesn't come included with any of them, and that's called Orbit Drift. This is like taking your car to the future. It's literally a futuristic looking theme, which is very cool. Obviously, you guys saw me using it earlier during the driving clip, and it was a little bit laggy. I did stop the video halfway to talk to ID4 Motion, and they assured me that they're working on it so it can be flawless by the time the cluster becomes available for you guys. So we have Polaris Orbit, Atmos Orbit, Celestial Orbit. Very cool names, by the way. Aurora. I can't pronounce that. Aurora Orbit. I feel like the more I try, the worse I get. Let me just move forward. Solaris Orbit, Plasma Orbit, which of course, again, you know, matches my theme. Prism Orbit and Cosmic Orbit. That purple, I like it. Okay, so for this one, you can also customize it with whatever parameters you want to read here in the cluster. I got the engine oil temperature there, and on the left hand side I have the fuel level. The car is still there, so there's the weird green mysterious signal popping up, and you got the right one there. G-force is pushed over to this side right here, and then you got the tachometer right in the middle, the RPM, which again you can adjust specifically to your car. Let's go ahead and switch on the car. Very cool. By the way, guys, I'm sure that this video just doesn't do this cluster justice. In person, it looks so much crisper. The responsive rate and just the fluidity of it is just much better. Again, I'm shooting on 30 frames per second, and I just feel like you guys are getting a quality hit just because of you know, the lighting that I'm faced with here at the shop. But yeah, it looks very good. All right, let me go ahead and cycle through the menus here. I want to show you some additional features that you get with the standard cluster and the premium one, something that the basic one doesn't come with. Think of the basic one as a bare minimum one that comes with everything that you get with an OEM cluster as far as important information like engine oil temperature, fuel level, coolant temperature, stuff like that. When it comes to the standard and premium, you get some additional features. So you have G-force, which is very cool. I think it's something that your car measures, but you can't really ever see on your cluster. Well, this one kind of pulls that information from your car. It's that meter that you guys see right here. Some of you guys might think that's gimmicky or so, but I think that like if you track the car or drift it, which I think a lot of E46 owners do, I think that would be a very interesting metric to look at. The shift indicator lights is also an option you only get with standard and premium. You can set the minimum value, maximum value, how many yellow lights, how many red lights, and so forth. Vehicle status, you can have it to always display, OEM behavior, or you can hide your faults. Car body style, so obviously the digital cluster can adapt to how many doors you have and stuff. You have sedan, compact, and convertible. Weird, I don't have any other option. Again, that's probably something they're gonna fix by the time these clusters officially release. Driver side here, you can change it to left-hand drive, right-hand side. This is a very common question I've been getting. Yes, the cluster works for right-hand and left-hand drive. because it is digital and it can be modified. So this is pretty funny. If you're tired of seeing an engine light on your BMW, which is probably something that's always around, you can just shut off the lights and not show warnings. Not something that I recommend, but if you're tired of it, you can just switch it off. Warning lights right here, depending on where you live at, Canada, Europe, and United States, you have like different DOT compliances, so you would choose the right one there. Warning chimes, you can essentially enable them for certain things here. I have them on for everything except engine oil pressure for whatever reason. For lamps on, low fuel level, ice warning, flat tire, fasten your seatbelt and stuff like that. If you go to system here, the very first option is enable camera. So if you have a reverse camera, you'll be able to see it right here in the center. Maybe I'll overlay a picture of what you'll see, but essentially the backup screen becomes integrated with the digital cluster. You can change the time, the date, device units as far as you know, distance. You can do miles, kilometers, temperature, Celsius or Fahrenheit. Fully customizable, guys. Controls, you can invert the remote. So essentially what I'm doing here, I'm using it backwards, but I inverted it so I don't have to bring it up this way. So you can invert the controls depending on how you utilize your controller and where you install. And then you have the about, which shows you your serial number for the product and which update you have installed. So if you ever have any troubleshooting issues, the guys at ID4 Motion can easily help you guys out. Basic options here like brightness. This is let's see, brightness level, I have it at 90% at the moment. You can change that, change the dim level, set the trigger, schedule. I did forget to talk about these few options here on the appearance menu. You got the startup screen, so you can change some of the options there, or we can make a custom one for you guys. You have sport mode, which is another option that's included only with the standard and premium. So essentially when you hit the sport button on your car, your cluster transforms into a different skin of your choice. You have night mode, again theme, and I think that's it. So another common question I've been receiving ever since I showed you guys a teaser to this cluster is the ease of installation. Do you have to like cut, splice things? Is it plug and play? How does it work? Literally, it's gonna be a harness just like this that connects to the factory connector behind the cluster, and that's it. No coding necessary. It's easily reversible. Anybody can do it. It literally takes minutes. It's very easy. As far as installing the digital cluster, you know, within the dashboard, it's a little bit trickier, but anybody can do it. It just sometimes it's fiddling because of the small amount of space there is to clear everything. So here's a fitment. It's pretty flush all the way around. It's a little bit lifted right here, but you can barely tell. Other than that, it looks pretty clean. So I'm not going to show you guys in this video how to install the digital cluster like I told some of you guys I would. I still have prototype hardware on the back side of the cluster, so it wouldn't make sense to show you guys, and I don't have the final version of this harness right here. But just know it's pretty simple. You have the torque screws up here, then you fold down the original cluster, pull it out, and then it's a two-piece part for this cluster. You have the screen itself and then the trim that goes around it. All you have to do is line it up, even it out, and then you put the torque screws back on there, and that's it. Again, all this information is going to be on the product page for the E46 cluster on our website, vehiclehours.com. All the information is detailed there. All the links are included. If you have any additional questions, you can always email us, support@vehiclehours.com, and we'll get back to you. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn on the E46 M3 and go for a drive, because this cluster just makes the driving experience so much better. It's very pleasing. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe, because I'm going to be making more content on the E46 M3. Appreciate you guys watching.